guess, afternoon there to you.
Yes,
How are you?
I'm all right, thank you. It's a good evening here at the moment. Now then, coming to the UK and European tour dates. How are we looking for that?
We are looking pretty good. Let's see. We're going to be at I'm so bad about my dates. I know that we've got one on the 8th. Actually, and on July 10th, we do the Chill Fest. I know that that's the big one that everybody's kind of waiting for. On the 11th, we've got one at Robin 2 in Wolverhampton. And on July 12th, we are going to be in Oxford at the O2 Academy that has been given by two of my really, really good friends, Bobby D and Sonia. They are just amazing, which she's also my fabulous makeup artist. So I have to give a shout out. And if you guys are in that area, you have to look for us. She's amazing.
One of the things is clear. I mean, you've been lead singer for Shalamar now for over 14 years.
Yeah.
How great is that?
You know what? It's a great experience. It's not anything that I ever thought would take place. Growing up, Shalamar was always my favorite group on my father's label.
Yeah.
I was very, very protective of the group, very protective of the members. And it just came a time where it came to be, and that's an interesting story within itself as well.
Right. I mean, one of the things you said, you grew up with it. It was part of you. One of the things with music influence, apart from Shalamar to the one side, who was your major influence?
You know what? Growing up, I had so many. Being the fact that my mother was also a singer on the label, Carrie Lucas. I'm sure that you guys know that. She was a great influence. I had many. I mean, my mother listened to different types of music. My mother was a big Barbra Streisand fan. I know that sounds funny. Carole King, but I actually had most of my artists were on Solar. Most of my artists were, I was in love with just the different types of music, and and a few of the Motown artists as well.
I mean, the tracks that you sing and everything else, they are iconic. They are absolutely memorable tracks from the decades across the way. One of the things I've noticed, and I'm speaking to various other different artists, because of the tracks and everything else, your audience can be quite varied, young and old. Would I say that you feel that the same?
Absolutely. I think we've been blessed because of the longevity of the music. And then my father was always he was really big on timeless music and good music. He says good music never goes out of style.
That's right.
So, the thing is just producing and I think the care and the time and the effort and the creativity that it took to do the music back in those days is quite different than we do now.
Yeah.
I just really believe that, there was a magic in the label at that time. And especially the way that things were done. He was a perfectionist. And everyone that he had on his, everyone that he had in the I Hate Saying staff, the Solar family, I think he kind of always was blessed to be able to hire the like soul people.
Yeah.
I mean, people with the same spirits, with the same mindset, and he had a great gift for plucking talent, and I think that has a lot to do with it.
Well, one of the things when you mention Shalamar, people tend to sing. There's normally two tracks. One we just played, which is "The Night You Remember." Everybody remembers the lyrics, and that must be great when you're on stage and the crowd singing along with you. That must be truly amazing after such a long time with that song being in the sort of music industry.
You know what's funny that you it's funny that you said that. Because Howard and I were having a discussion, and I remember we were at the end of the last tour that we did.
Yeah.
And see, understand, next to these guys, I'm still a green performer. So, of course, I have to follow them, and I look to them because, I respect them. They're like my big brothers.
Yeah.
I look to them, for their direction. So I started, Howard, had a little strain on his voice, and I just looked, and we looked out into the crowd, and everybody was singing. So after the show, I said, dang, I said, you know what? We don't have to worry about not hitting those notes, because if we get tired, we can just turn the mic to them, and they can...
one of the things I understand from that, because you just listen to it, and I think when people just get caught up in the moment, and when you see it and listen to a huge song like that, yes, it's absolutely fantastic. What is your favourite track to play and sing?
You know what? My favorite, that's hard. You have to understand, I was okay, other kids had Michael Jackson, which he was one of mine too, and other people that they idolized. As a kid, let me repeat, I idolized Shalamar.
Yeah.
There were songs that probably never played on mainstream radio that I just loved and played over and over and over. But I think I think the most fun we have is A Night to Remember, because it always seems like that's the song we get to have a lot of fun with. And if there are people that have been watching our show over we always take A Night to Remember and we flip it somehow, and what we'll do is we'll add a current song or one of the biggest songs, one of the big party songs, and we'll add it to that song, and it really goes over well with the show, with the crowd. It gets really interactive. I think that's my favorite one to perform.
One of the things I've got to say myself is that you've performed all around the world on various different things. I mean, coming to the UK, it must be sort of, you've got some loyal fans in the UK, which I know we've got a lot of loyal listeners listening to you right now. So how do you find the UK audience compared to the rest of the world?
You know what? I think that the UK audience is one of the most dedicated audiences in music. I have a lot of friends in the music industry who have, and it's funny, I've got friends over here who are big artists over here, and still they yearn to get to the UK. And I've noticed the fact that UK artists, they study the music. They don't just listen to it.
Yeah.
You guys read it. You guys, some of them, you live it. It becomes the soundtrack of your life and things that were going on at the time. So I just seen over the years, I've had people, we did a show, one time I did a show with Howard, and we did a show in Belgium. This guy had driven about 8 hours. And he had to, and it's so funny because I've always, I've been gracious. It's and we'll talk about how I came to be in the group. But, always kind of gracious working with these guys because they're family to me. But when I look over on the stage and I realize, oh my gosh, this is Shalamar. I've always, it's crazy, the response of the crowd, the way they treat you, the way that they know what's going on. The guy had brought pictures of my mother, my father, pictures I had never seen before, and he was crying, and he said, if you could just sign this for me.
Oh, that's nice.
It was amazing, and I was shocked.
Yeah, I've been on various sort of gigs as well, and I've seen very much the same. And you can see the performers when they see that it takes you back, doesn't it?
And it really does for me because, like I say, as a teenager, to have a group that was as monumental as Shalamar was to me. I take it very seriously. This is definitely not something that was easy to jump into. I think I may have taken it for granted when I was young and my father first placed me in the group. But now, as I get older and I start really respecting just not the history, but just the opportunity to be able to do that. And when I'm standing on stages, wherever in the world, and I think with my father being gone, it's amazing. Sometimes I get a little emotional. Because I look up and I thank my parents because, without them, I wouldn't be able to do this. And quite honestly, without my dad, Solar, the artist, none of this would all be possible. So I really am, it's really a humbling experience when I slow down and think about it.
So to become part of Shalamar was a long life dream for you then, really?
No.
No?
No way.
So what would you have done if you wouldn't be part of Shalamar? I suppose I shouldn't ask this, should I? But really, what was something you'd want to do? Obviously, singing is your passion.
Now, you know what? Singing is my passion, and it was when I was a young girl. But you have to understand, there are two types of people that come from a musical family. There's one that comes out and that's all she knows and that's all she wants to do because it's inbred in her.
Yeah.
And that's what, that's what her thing is. Mine was, believe it or not, I was intimidated. I secretly wanted to be this mega artist, but it was intimidating to grow up around such amazing talent.
Yeah.
And the crazy thing is, the hardest performance I ever had to give was in front of my mother and my father.
Really?
Because they were at the helm of everything. If you think about it, every artist, I mean, even people that weren't on the label, I mean, understand, my father was a promoter, and he broke a lot of careers, even when you think about when it wasn't a thing where black people could really promote their own concerts in Los Angeles. My father was one of the first African-American men to be able to promote African-American artists in Los Angeles.
Wow.
And in the United States, he actually is a co-founder of something called the Black Promoters Association.
Wow.
So when you think of somebody who's, I mean, it wasn't just a vision, it wasn't just the fact that he had a hand in so many amazing people's careers and in their lives. It really was intimidating to me coming up. So the opportunity being Shalamar is something I actually turned down the
Really?
first time. Yes.
And what was the reaction to that?
My father didn't like it. He didn't like anybody to tell him no. But my thing was, and it really was out of respect for all the artists in Shalamar. Because, I say, I mean, all of them. I mean, even, Jody Watley, I mean, a lot of people don't know, her little sister and I grew up together. And to this day, we are still the best of friends. So even with all of the things that are going on, it came as a shock to me because, like I say, Solar has always been revered as a family. So, so when I was asked to do it, my thing was I can't fill anybody's shoes. And so Howard and Jeffrey and my dad, they said, it's not about filling anybody's shoes. What happened was, do you know how, the story of how I became a part of Shalamar?
Go on, tell us, please.
Okay. Basically, of course, the group had all disbanded for a while, and what happened is they had a great demand for for the group. It was an amazing group. I mean, I think it was one of the very few groups during that era that had this chemistry. There were groups that were put together, but how do you find a group? I mean, of course, there were some revolving doors regarding the lead male singer. But when Howard came in the group, it's undeniable, hands down, that was the formula for success for that group. And what happened is when they asked them to do it, I guess, they had gone to my father and said, hey, because my father still owned the name. The company still owned the name. My dad was in Solar, in case everybody doesn't know, was a sole proprietorship. Nobody funded it. Nobody did anything else. He solely started the company. And it was out of the funds that he raised through concert promoting and other things that he started the company. Anyway, they were touring, and Howard asked me to go over and sing backgrounds one time.
Right.
And I went over, and I was excited. Because Howard knew if he asked me to, sing the female part, that I would tell him no, like I did before. So he's like, come on, man, let's go over here. We're just going to do a little private gig. And so when I got over there, it was the female part. And I said, are you kidding me? Anyway, what happened was I came back. I mean, it was fun. I was very nervous. And like I say, you always try to find your positioning. I came home and I told my dad out of excitement. And his thing was like, wait a minute. You went over and sang with them, and anyway, long story short, everybody had a meeting of the minds. My dad came back and basically just said, you know what, this makes perfect sense. This is my daughter. This is, and this is her legacy. Because from what I understand, they had approached Jody and asked her if she wanted to be a part of it. She said no. She had a very booming and successful solo career.
Right.
So she just, and out of respect, she just wasn't interested. She had left the group in '83, and she didn't have any intentions on, coming back. So when I saw that, as a matter of fact, I reached out as to her as well. And I even called Michelle. I said, "It was your sister?" She said, "Nope, she just doesn't want to do it." I said, "Okay, that's fine." So when I saw that was the case, I said, "Well, if nobody else is going to do it, who better than myself?" So that was pretty much how it happened. It wasn't a thing where it was, it was a reluctant acceptance, but I'm very glad that I did. It's been a blessing.
Now, after you've done the tour and everything else, you'll be doing a lot of UK and European tour. What's going to be the future plans for Shalamar?
Oh, we've got plenty of plans for Shalamar. The thing is, before we had pretty much gotten together, because Howard has a very extensive touring schedule. For quite a while, Jeffrey himself was, on several shows over in Africa, African Idol, and he's keeping quite busy over there. I mean, there's several projects that he's involved in I'm not even aware of right now. It's really hard for us to gather because this is not everyone's main thing that they do.
Right.
That's just like myself. I mean, I'm also a singer. I sing and I do projects here, but I'm also a personal trainer. So, and the people, well, how do you mix that? My formula for that is the entertainment industry is a industry of glamour.
Yeah.
And if you're going to be in the industry and if you're going to be in front of people, the first thing you want to do is you want to present yourself to where it's something pleasing to your audience.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, it just really became a passion. So, that's the thing where we really have to see everybody's schedule. But we've got recording. We've got a couple of people approaching us about a couple of deals. But we're holding off because we're wrapping up some personal, group business right now. And when all of that is subsided, we have plenty of things that we are going to embark upon. And we'll talk about that when the time comes.
Yay! One of the things I got to say, I mean, when you do perform live, and do you ever sort of perform with other groups as well? Is there a moment where you literally, you love getting together with other groups, performing with them groups, and relive the years, shall we say?
Something, we haven't really had the opportunity as a unit to do a whole bunch of interacting with the other groups yet. We did a show several years ago in Tokyo, which was a great package. We got to perform with JT of Kool and the Gang and Nile Rodgers and Chic. It was a wonderful package. It was great. But actually, one of the things that we are working on right now is a total tour. We've been talking about a Solar Records tour. We've been talking about all these different things. These are all things that we are in the process of getting together as we speak. So, there's a lot of people who want to change the face of things that are classic. And I think one of the things that has worked for a lot of the older groups is that you keep the essence of the nostalgia, because that's what people want to see.
Yeah.
That's what they want to hear the song. They want to see the, and like I say, and more we are definitely getting into more choreography as we spend more time together. And of course, as we do more shows, we'll start building our show, a lot bigger than what it is now. But I mean, I think, working with other groups, it's a lot of fun because you get to play off of one another. We look forward to doing that.
When you get all that sorted, you need to come back on. Tell us all about that.
I can't wait.
That's amazing. You need to do more dates in the UK, by the way, I think.
Well, something? I think that's something that we definitely need to let our management know. I think the funny thing is because of the insurgence of the fact that we've been doing more shows this year than we did last, they get a little nervous. They're saying, well, maybe they'll get tired. You don't want everybody to get tired of you. And we keep trying to explain to them. It's a great thing for us to be out there, more. Yeah. I think, and I think there are plans for that. So, like I say, everything in its time. We're taking everything step by step, and we're just very excited about the future of Shalamar.
Carolyn, we wish you all the very success for the second leg of the tour. We really do, in the UK and Europe. And have a safe trip around, and I hope it does go very, very, very well for you. We thank you very much for coming on the station. It's been an absolute pleasure. It really has.
Well, it's an absolute pleasure and an honor to be on the show, and I thank you. And I look forward to meeting you when we come out there.
It was absolutely lovely. Now, one of the things that I want you to introduce, Can I Make You Feel Good? Would you mind please doing that? Okay.
Ready? It's like we're taping, right?
Yeah, go on. Just go for it.
This is Carolyn Griffey of Shalamar featuring Howard Hewett, Jeffrey Daniel, and myself. And you are getting ready to listen to I Can Make You Feel Good. Have an amazing day.